This is University of California, KUCR, at NAMM 2023, Anaheim, California, the NAMM show. And we're talking with Dusty Wakeman of Mojave Microphones. And Dusty, we interviewed you a number of years ago because we really admire and appreciate what you do. Could you remind the audience about what you do, about Mojave Microphones?
Well, we make mainly condenser mics, and they're designed by David Royer, who many people know Royer from Royer Labs, which is a sister company who makes ribbon microphones. So they build the ribbon mics that David designs. We build the condenser mics. We started with the MA200, which is this one. That was our first mic. That's a cardioid-only tube condenser. And then we've just built it up over the years. We have the 300, which is the multi-pattern version. Then we have our solid state, the 201 and the 301. The 301 is kind of my personal desert island mic. If I had to have one Mojave, it would be this one because it's just so versatile. It sounds great on everything. And then on the high end, we got the MA1000. That's David Royer's modern interpretation of a classic ELAM 251. And then this is the MA37, which is his modern interpretation of the classic C37A. And we're actually up for a tech award, so we'll find out tonight if we won or not. But having a lot of fun. This mic is different than our others. These are all based on the German style condensers. So they're all bright, and this one is dark. It's almost like a ribbon mic, but it's very warm and lush. It's not your use it on everything mic, but when it's the right mic for the job, it's spectacular. So like for loud guitar amps, for instance, it'll handle really high sound pressure level, and it kind of mellows out harshness. It's very good with taming sibilants.
Years ago, I spent time with Leo Fender, and subsequently, it's become clear, and I had a discussion yesterday with a British guitar manufacturer, that certain guitars became paradigm designs.
Right.
And then people have done interpretations. Right. And you've used the term interpretation in terms of how you're interpreting some of the classic, maybe the paradigm microphones.
Right.
But there are ideas about how you take that inspiration and refine it and bring it to the world as it is today. Could you talk about doing that?
Well, these are all, as I said, designed by David Royer, and we don't do clones. There's other people in this room that do clones. We do David's modern interpretation, so how can you make it better? Given the parts that are available today, many of which weren't available back when these things were designed. So for instance, this microphone here is basically David's version of a U67. But having been a former studio owner for 28 years and owned a pair of U67s, they're really problematic to keep happy and healthy, whereas this is brand new. So if there's a problem, it's easy for us to service it. You're starting at the beginning instead of a mic that's already 60 years old that you're trying to keep running. So that's kind of why we do it. We don't do clones, but we do, David's an autistic genius. He's won Grammy Awards, and we do pretty much what David wants to do, He's got a notebook full of designs. This one was in it for 10 years, but it took a while for us to figure out what we wanted to do and actually bring it to market.
One of the things I've noted about microphones is how sometimes a certain microphone will fit a certain voice, right. That the voice really works well. Could you speak about why that happens and about how certain microphones that you have might be good for different types of purposes?
Sure. Well, as a former studio owner, it was really great to have a mic locker full of wonderful microphones. So then when you're doing an album and you have a singer, you could set up 3, 4, 5 of them and do a blind test and see where the magic is. And then it's like, okay, maybe for this song we'll use this mic, but for this song we'll use this mic. You might want to use a ribbon mic if you're doing something retro, but for something really pop, you want one of these. So this one here, these guys, which are tube, they're kind of like U67s, great for male vocals. This one is based on the ELAM 251, great for female vocals because the presence peak is a little higher, so it tames sibilants really well. If you've got an extra sibilant singer, this one's great for that. This is great for that kind of U67, 414. U87 414 type of thing. This is our TLM 103 killer. That's for half as much money. It sounds twice as good, much clearer, much less distortion. And so, any one of these mics, if you got a hit song, you're great. But it is nice to have those options. That's part of the magic of engineering.
Actually, I've heard of people using this microphone on guitar amplifiers.
Yeah, they're wonderful on guitar amplifiers. I used to love U67s on guitar amplifiers. But somewhere along the way, somebody made a rule that you had to use an SM57 on guitar cabinets. And I never bought into that because I go back to the Beatles and the Stones. And a lot of that stuff was a U67 a couple of feet away from a guitar amp. It wasn't an SM57 crammed right up in the speaker. I like that a little bit more openness. So this being very similar to U67, it works great for guitar amps. This one as well, like John Pertucci from Dream Theater. This is always, both live and in the studio, it's always a pair of these on his guitar amp. And it has its fans out there.
What price range do we find these in?
We're starting at $600 here, going up to $3,500.
That's quite a bargain, actually, for what they are.
I'm biased, of course, but Mojave mics are the best value for the money out there. You just can't beat them.
Where are they manufactured?
They're manufactured mostly in China, but it's kind of a long cycle because we use a lot of American components, the things you can actually hear, like transformers and tubes and things like that. So we have to gather all the parts, send them to our factory, and we've got great factory over there, great partners. And then they come back, and then the tube mics, we all burn them in for 24 hours. David listens to every single one, signs a card that goes with it. These two mics are more like kits that we get. They're just parts. And then we actually assemble them and install the capsules and the transformers and the tubes in Burbank in our shop.
Now, you said David Royer designs ribbon microphones and these microphones. What is the difference in quality and characteristic of a ribbon microphone versus these?
Well, ribbon microphones are much darker. They're much probably more natural sounding, whereas condenser microphones, we're all used to the sound of condenser microphones. They kind of hype the sound. They magnify things. So you get more highs, more lows, more presence.
Right, okay.
So the fun part is knowing when to use those and how to combine them. That's the fun part of recording.
Now you said that if something goes wrong with the microphone, you can service it here.
We're in Burbank. If you live in Los Angeles, you can come to the shop, and if you're not, then you can send it in. And I was a studio owner and engineer for 28 years, so I really feel people's pain. There's nothing worse than starting a session and your favorite microphone's not working. So we try to minimize that, and really, we have a very liberal warranty policy, and then beyond that, we're just very sympathetic to our Mojave owners out there. Having been there, we're all engineers, so we want people to be able to use their mics.
Dusty Wakeman of Mojave Audio, thank you very much.
There's one more thing I'd like to say.
Please do.
We just this last year brought out this mic. This is our first dynamic mic. This is
dynamic.
Yeah, the MAD. And for years I've been badgering David Royer. David, we need a live mic. We need a dynamic. He's not a big fan because he doesn't like that presence peak that all the SM58s of the world have. And the reason they have that is 60 years ago when they were designed, speaker systems weren't very good. If you had a Shure Vocal Master, you were like doing good, right? A lot of people were plugging it into their guitar amp, into the second channel. But now speakers are so good that they're almost like studio monitors. You don't need that. So we were able to come up with a mic that has a much flatter frequency response. We call it the smooth alternative. And people are really responding to that. Not that it's the perfect mic for everything, but it gives you an option as opposed to that really strong mid-range peak that those mics have. Now we've got something that's a little more condenser-like. And, for some people it's better, some people it's not, but that's what we're offering.
What's the price on this?
It's $160.
Another good price.
Yeah, and a really nice sounding mic. If you go on our YouTube channel, I've got like complete drum kits where we did the complete kit with this microphone just to show what it sounds like, or percussion or guitar amps, vocals. We have lots of samples of that. So
you mentioned a YouTube channel. If people want more information about your microphones, where can they find it?
they can go to mojaveaudio.com or go to YouTube and just put in Mojave. We have a channel. We're making new content all the time, and there's lots of stuff there for all of the mics. One thing that's really fun, if you're really a geek about microphones, we have a video of David Royer talking about each mic in terms of what he was thinking, what his philosophy was, and what he was trying to achieve. And those are really fun. There's also a really fun video about the history of this and the C37A.
Well, thank you very much, Dusty Wakeman here at NAMM 2023, University of California, KUCR.